Just a minute. I think we will. What is
Live
happening?
stream is started.
Just a minute. So, Sanjay, do you want to do a BSG introduction?
No, you can start.
I
No
was
problem.
trying to recruit somebody to do it. Yeah. Okay, maybe we should get started in the interest of the time. And Jai Bhim, everyone. My name is Venkat Moraju, and I'm based out of Boston. I'm part of this Boston Study Group and Ambedkarite organization. Um, we are all delighted to have you join us this Ambedkar lecture series. Ambedkar lecture series is dedicated to honoring the life and legacy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, a visionary leader, social reformer, and champion of equality and justice. Um, and in commemoration of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's invaluable contributions, Boston Study Group have curate a number of series of lectures that explore various aspects of his life, work, and ideology. Our esteemed speakers at Ambedkar Lecture Series will delve into topics such as caste annihilation, constitutional rights, gender equality, education, economic justice, and Dalit empowerment, shedding light on the relevance of Dr. Ambedkar's teaching in today's context. Boston Study Group is a non-profit organization registered with IRS with 501(c)(3) based in New England, USA. We are an Ambedkarite organization dedicated to creating a just and equitable society. We organize study groups, monthly meetings, lecture series, and other social activities in the Boston area to support our mission. Our members include individuals, families, students, scholars, academics, and workers who share our vision of equality and upliftment. We focus on creating support structures and working with students from historically marginalized backgrounds. We are inspired by figures who have worked for human welfare from Buddha, Sant Ravidas, Savitribai, Jyotiba, Phule, Periyar, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Today is a very a special lecture, or we call a discussion, very, very important discussion, often not paid attention. Not, I mean, it doesn't get much attention, but there's still a large number of people are impacted with this bonded labor. So today, this year, 2026, is the 50 years of Indian government passing a bonded labor system abolition act in 1976. I was also wondering why it took almost 30 years after independence to do such a one of the basic fundamental human rights, and it waited for 30 years, but those were the circumstances. It is a historic law that declared bonded labor illegal and promised freedom, dignity, and justice to some of the most oppressed workers in our society. Yet, even after 5 decades, bonded labor continues to survive in new and old forms. In agriculture, brick kilns, construction, domestic work, mining, and informal industries. This reminds us that legal abolition alone is not the same as social and economic liberation. Bonded labor is not just a labor issue, it is deeply connected to other social aspects such as caste, poverty, landlessness, migration, debt, and lack of access to education and justice. So today's discussion is therefore not only about remembering a law, but also about asking why exploitation continues despite constitutional guarantees and strict legal protections. We are fortunate to have activists, scholars, policy thinkers, and community leaders of highest order in this field. They have, worked on the ground, made huge impact, and they worked at the highest levels of policy makers. So we are really honored to have a very distinguished panel of speakers today who will enlighten us on some of these aspects, and so that um, not only education but also prompt some action. So with that, we are very honored to have today Professor Shanta Sinagar. I'll be giving their introductions when they speak, and Kakimada Rao garu, Gandham Chandrudu garu, and Dr. Jangam Chinnaya garu, and Neele garu as going to basically participate in the discussion. And I would like to start this discussion with Neele garu, who actually initiated this whole thing. I give a lot of credit to Nile Garu and who know him. He has one of the, how do I call, most impactful, strong grassroots level worker. Last over 30 years, he made a huge impact. And let me give his formal uh, introduction. Mr. Nilay Jyoti is a human rights defender, development practitioner, and policy advisor coming from a socially oppressed background. His life reflects resilience, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to justice. With more than 3 decades of experience in rural development, social inclusion, and institutional building, he has played a significant role in empowering Dalit, tribal, and other marginalized communities through livelihood promotion and leadership development initiatives. Along with his life partner, Mrs. Grace Nirmala Garu, he founded Ashray, an NGO dedicated to the eradication of Devadasi system and empowerment of vulnerable communities. Coming from a bonded laborers family, he experienced poverty and social exclusion firsthand. His father was a bonded laborer and his mother an agricultural laborer. These early experiences shaped his lifelong commitment to social justice. He worked closely with organizations such as the International Labour Organization and government agencies to rescue, rehabilitate, and empower bonded laborers and other marginalized groups. Currently, Nilay Jyoti serves as the Chairman Appellate Authority of Manrega, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, Government of Andhra Pradesh, contributing to one of India's largest rural livelihood and employment programs. His life and leadership continues to inspire efforts toward just social justice, dignity, inclusion, and empowerment of vulnerable sections of society. He holds a master's degree in public administration from Osmania University. Nilay Garu, please give some introductory remarks and please I welcome Nilay Garu, Nilay Jyoti. Hello, Nilay Garu.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Venkat. Thank you for that introduction and distinguished panel members, respected respected participants, President of the Boston Study Group, Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Garu, and my dear friend Dr. Venkat. Good evening and welcome to this important discussion on the unfinished emancipation, bonded labor in India, 50 years after abolition. As India commemorates the 50th year of Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976, I felt it was important to reflect on three major questions. One, what was the situation before abolition and what progress has been made over the last 5 decades? And why do forms of bondage and forced labor still persist today? When I shared this idea with Dr. Venkat, doctorate from Harvard University, a technocrat and a committed Ambedkarite, and also founding member of the Boston Study Group, he has agreed that a global discussion involving practitioners, academics, policymakers, and civil society leaders would be both timely and meaningful. At the outset, I congratulate Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Garu on becoming the first woman president of Boston Study Group. I have known her for the last 20 years as a committed supporter of marginalized communities and social causes. I would also like to acknowledge Dr. Venkat and Mrs. Vijayalakshmi's two daughters who have supported the education of children from vulnerable communities from a very young age. Through their personal savings and small acts of generosity, they demonstrated that meaningful social change begins with compassion and commitment. We were fortunate to bring together an outstanding panel. Our speakers have contributed significantly to the fight against bonded labor through policy administration, advocacy, research, and rehabilitation. I sincerely thank them for accepting our invitation and sharing their valuable experiences and insights. I also warmly welcome all the participants, many of whom have been associated with labor rights, human rights, rehabilitation, and social justice initiatives. For me, this issue is deeply personal. My father was a bonded laborer, as Venkat said, and my mother was an agricultural laborer. Having witnessed poverty, indebtedness, and exploitation from close quarters, bonded labor is not merely an academic subject but lived reality. During my professional journey, I have also had the opportunity to interact with and support several rescued bonded laborers. I hope today's discussion and will help us understand both the achievements and the unfinished challenges in the struggle for freedom, dignity, and justice. Thank you all for joining us. I now invite Dr. Venkat to moderate the session. Thank you, Venkat. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you all.
Nilaya. So we have I just want to acknowledge some of our Boston study group team here. Sanjay Bhagat, Hemant, Vishal Sinde, who else joined?
Suyog is also there.
Suyog. So we have a very, very strong and dedicated team. A
Priya
lot
as
do.
well.
Priya, sorry, whoever is there, just say Arif, Arif, Priya. Yes. So we
Swaroop,
have
did you say Swaroop?
Swaroop,
Yeah.
Swaroop. Yeah. So those who are not here, but yeah, we have Santosh Bharti, Ashwa, and so there's a very strong team behind this whole effort. And we are just about 10 years old, Boston Study Group. So it took a long time with a lot of effort and dedication of a lot of volunteers to build the BSG to this level. So just want to acknowledge all of them. Okay. And so now I welcome Professor Shanta Sinha Garu to speak. And just introducing Shanta Sinha, I think those who are especially in Hyderabad, there wouldn't be anybody who wouldn't know her, but for some of the people who are outside, it is a formal introduction. Is Professor Shanta Sinha served as the first chairperson of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Government of India, for 2 terms from 2007 to 2013. In this role, she addressed a wide range of issues concerning violation of children's rights, including child labor and trafficking, the rights of children in areas of civil unrest, the right to education, the juvenile justice system, corporal punishment, child abuse, and violence against children and child malnutrition. She is a retired professor of political science at the University of Hyderabad and the founder, secretary, trustee of the M. Venkat Rangayya Foundation, MVF, famously known as MVF Foundation, one of India's leading child rights organization. Through MVF, she spearheaded a social transformation that withdrew over 1 million children from child labor, prevented thousands of child marriages, and ensured their mainstreaming into formal education. MVF pioneered the concept of residential bridge courses in over 1,500 villages where MVF has worked. Every child is in school. She is a recipient of the Padma Shri awarded in 1998 by the Government of India and the Raman Magsaysay Award in 2003 for community leadership, among several other honors. Welcome, Professor Shanta Shinagaru, and thank you for all your dedicated service over the years. Thank you. Please, you can start
Thank
speaking.
you. Thank you very much. I must thank the Boston Study Group, Venkat Manoju, Nilay Garu, Jayalakshmi Garu, and all of you for asking me to speak today. This is a very precious audience, I must say. And what I thought I will do is I will talk about my own experience through NB Foundation on abolition of bonded laborers, especially children, and experience of working with children, which I consider uh, quite and in fact very important, and that we must uh, kind of put children at the centrality of India's democracy. First of all, I'm so glad that you are commemorating the 1976 Bonded Labor System Abolition Act. I must tell you that if for anything we must celebrate the emergency, it is for passing of this act. And we owe it to Mrs. Indira Gandhi that she did so. If there was no emergency, then this ordinance would never have been passed. It's a
Wow.
deeply sensitive uh, issue. It is dealing with the last citizen in the country. It is dealing with the most vulnerable, most marginalized, and it is an ethical imperative, a moral imperative, and I think we owe it to Mrs. Gandhi that she did so in 1976. And to me, I think the emergency was significant for the sake of the passing and enactment of the bonded labor system. I was once with Shankaran Garu, and he narrated to me that it was at that time Huxer insisted on getting some kind of a item that would really democratize India's politics. And Mrs. Gandhi was looking for something very, very radical that has to be done at that time. She said, if I don't do it now, I will never be able to do anything. So when Huxer asked Shankaran Garu at that time, it seems, had a newspaper wrapped idli in Delhi. And in the newspaper, he found an item of Muzaffarpur in Bihar and a study of the IS internees in Mussoorie about bonded labor in Bihar. He did that cutting. He went deeper into it. Yugandhar was then the director of the academy. And it was on the basis of this recommendation to Huxley that Mrs. Gandhi said, yes, this is what we have to do. We will have to see that the Bonded Labor Abolition Act has to be passed and that the burden of proof that a person is not bonded is with the employer and not with those who are bonded servants. That also is extremely radical, that I don't have to prove that I am a bonded laborer. It is the employer that has to prove that I am not a bonded. And what a radical act that is. And I'm so glad that you are celebrating this much forgotten bonded labor system abolition act. And I must say that even the last a year or so, we have been working in Bihar, and there are some hundreds and thousands of farm servants who are working as bonded laborer, but nobody recognizes them as bonded labor, but under the act, they're all bonded laborers. They're all forced to work because they have taken loan and they cannot get out of bondage till they repay the loan. And I think it is so important that we are flagging this issue today. And if you have to radicalize democracy, it has to be through the language of uh, abolition of bonded labor. Now I'll come back to our own work. You know how we began, and just I do not know how much time I have. Depending on that, I
You
will
can
have
take
to.
about 15 minutes, madam. Yeah.
15
Yeah.
minutes is too long.
Too
Okay.
long? Then yeah, you're okay. 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. 15
15
minutes
minutes is fine. Yeah.
quite a length to give a nice and long story.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
can. You can. Please.
we in fact, through the foundation and even before that through Shami Vidyapeeth, which I was directing, we also felt that we should start with those who are the last in the rung of social hierarchy, and that would be, of course, the Dalits. And at that time, there was Geeta Ramaswamy, who had this Ibrahim Patnam Yavasai Police Sangam, who was doing phenomenal work on release of bonded labor. So I learned a lot from her work as well. While we were doing this, we recognized that 40% of those who were bonded were actually, which to me was very, very alarming. The second thing that I recognized was that even when we withdrew the children from work, there were another set of children who quickly came into that work. That was the second thing. That it never ended. That there is a continuous supply of children working for bondage. So just removing, say, some 30 children in a village from bondage did not mean ending of bondage. It would mean that there are 30 other children ready to join as bonded laborers. This was the second thing. The third thing that, in fact, what was quite alarming to me, which I was frankly very unaware of, except in theory, is about caste discrimination. The kind of consequences that came with withdrawing of children and adults as bonded laborers. Uh, was violence to the core. And we had our karyakartas facing false cases that they have stolen a goat, they have stolen hens, that they have stolen cycles. We had violence where children were beaten up by the employers. Then there was violence where women were not allowed to work on farms. There was violence where the population from the Dalit communities were not allowed to get into the main road and they had to walk 4 kilometers around the village to get to RTC bus. So it was a total standstill. So something that was so violent, so cruel, so discriminatory, so exclusionary. This is something that uh, I had never anticipated. I must say that I felt guilty for messing up with the lives of so many by just creating this kind of a situation of hatred and a debris of violence by getting children from out of bondage. That it disturbed the entire power structure, the social hierarchy, and it kind of was something totally unacceptable in a democratic framework in India. We did have support from J.B. Rajagaru, who came, Bojja Tarakam, who came, many of the Dalit leaders to give support to us, to show that we are on the right path and to give lectures. But somewhere I felt that the way in which we worked maybe was not the right path. We had to think of some other way of removing children from bondage and getting them into schools. That is when we felt that we should start afresh again. That is where we learned, first of all, we learned about Dalit rights and importance of education from Ambedkar. We also learned about the need to create a social norm in favor of the weakest, in favor of the Dalit children, that the entire village had to come together. Otherwise, we are only leaving behind debris and no transformation, no change can happen. That is when we started in Shankarpalli Mandal, we decided that we'll have to work hard to include everyone in the village in support of a bonded laborers journey to school. And we cannot not talk to everyone. Nobody should be an enemy. We should make sure that whoever is opposing us would eventually become part of the solution and not continue to be part of the problem. So there was a change in the manner in which we looked at the issue, that we needed to have a program where we needed to know how to resolve conflicts and how to see that you harmonize societies in the process of resolving conflicts. It's a very tricky thing. We knew that getting a child from out of bondage is deeply embedded in politics, deeply embedded in violence, deeply embedded in discrimination, and we had to resolve it. But the process of resolution is the process of building a social norm. In fact, we were waiting for conflict situations just so that we build alliances, just so that we talk to other caste members, that we talk to the school teachers, we talk to the local officials, and we talk to also those who were from the upper caste who may not oppose us really and who may think that, look, I think this is morally correct. I think children will have to be going to school. So we changed the way in which we resolve conflict. We didn't intensify conflicts, we resolved the conflicts by creating a larger base of alliances in support of children and their entry into school. I'll give you an example of this. Say, for example, if there was in a particular village some ex Reddy who did not oppose us, we would quickly do a small press meet, issue a press statement thanking that ex Reddy for allowing the child to be released and sent to the school. Or, say, for example, if there were about 10 or 20 of them whom we could kind of debate, discuss, talk to them and tell them, is it fair that children are bonded? Is it fair that that you continue to exclude them? And if they were willing, on November 14th, each year, we gathered 30 to 40 of them and we did a ceremony called Vidyadan ceremony in which they sponsored the education of the children who themselves they had employed. So in a way, you see, we were trying to do something which we learned from, again, Gandhi, in not looking at anybody as an enemy, in seeing in each one of them a potential friend, and to see how we can bring them over. In that sense, the school teacher who never came to school regularly, who subcontracted his job, was not our enemy. He was our challenge. How do we make him come to school regularly and teach? Or, say, for example, a police officer who would not register a case. How do we make him register a case? So, our perspective changed in terms of resolving conflicts and in creating a social norm. It also happened because we then decided that a person who is a child. Earlier, we dealt only with the Dalit children and who were bonded. And as I told you, when they were rescued and released, another set came. So we said that we should not have any child out of school. If you're a child out of school, you're inevitably going to be a bonded laborer. If not now, later. And we followed Swami Agnivesh, who said that all child labor is bonded labor. There is no distinction between non-bonded and bonded. So we followed that and we said that all children who are out of school are child labor and all child labor are bonded labor. In that sense, we could appeal to children in all communities. We could appeal to children who were invisible, like the girl children. They were not even considered as child labor. So, in a sense, we radicalized the definition of child labor as all children of child labor, and that is how I think we were able to get children who were bonded back into the schools. I will not go into the details of the rich courses that we did. At that time, we prepared these children for class 7 public examination. And I must tell you, they're brilliant children, they're so lovable children. All of them passed, all of them went to class 7. They went to horrible social welfare hospitals. That was another tragedy. You know as better than me what the social welfare hostels are about. We, in fact, had to talk to the anti-corruption bureau, Rajan sir, to tell them how corrupt from the warden to the top everybody was. So he asked us to maintain a diary of supplies that came to the hostel, and children maintained the diary date by date. We gave him a whole dossier of 3 months of corruption, of footballs to nets to textbooks to rice, all that went straight into the social welfare department officials and not come to the hostel. And this became enough evidence to remove 3 of those officials. And I must tell you, these children were just brilliant. Many of these children whom I'm talking about is of 30 years ago. They have become police officers now. After they finished the 7th grade and they went up, many became policemen, they became sarpanches, they were in border security force, one is doing a blood examination, this thing. And only yesterday I got a call from a girl, she's done her MS in Thrissur. She was part of our Bridgeco. She was a cattle herd and she finished her medicine from Tandur, and then now she went to Kerala to do her MS. She's come back and she says, equitable, madam. And then she said that she will join the national NTPC as a doctor, but she wants to be an IAS officer. Wow. Why IAS officer when you have already done medicine? She says, no, madam, my dream is to change society. And if you're an IAS officer, you can do more than you're a doctor. I'm trying hard to convince her the other way around, but that's going to be tough. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that when you think, this is the last thing I want to say, when you think of the last child or the last person, and when they are empowered to question, then only democracy will happen. Democracy is about equality and social justice. And there is going to be a transformation of the society, social transformation. I would say a revolution if the last person in the society is taken care of. Because we took care of the last child, let me tell you, we were able to see all the mistakes in the education department. They wouldn't give transfer certificates, they wouldn't give birth certificates, they wouldn't give income certificates, there was no teacher in the class, there were no windows in the classroom. Every gap in the system it was exposed because we dealt with the last child. No law on education or on child labor was ever made keeping the last child in mind. Unless you take care of the last child, the Dalit child, who is the girl, I would say particularly the girl, you're not going to transform the system. And I might just end that if you want to know the health of our country and our state, you just have to take a sample of the history of one girl child go to school. Then you will know what our health is like, what our education is like, what our social policies are like, what the political priorities are like. It's almost like taking a drop of blood from your blood sample, where you will know if you have had blood pressure or cancer, or, from one drop of blood, you can make out what your entire body is about. You can even make out your DNA and everything. Similarly, history of one girl child who is a Dalit, who is an Adivasi, and her deprivation and her survival, if you are able to mark, then I can tell you, you will know what this bondage is about and what our country is about. Our country has to work for the last girl, for the last Dalit child, and it is only then we will be truly democratized, radicalized, and change can happen. Otherwise, we will continue to be reproducing the kind of inequality and injustice that we have been doing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Shanta Sinagaru. I know in the very short span of time you have educated us a lot. I mean, it was, I didn't realize, I kept saying 1976, but I couldn't hardly correlate it was the emergency time. So, yeah, so certain things did happen, which are radical and which are positive. I think that's amazing to know that fact. And also, I mean, thanks for whatever the work you've done is very humbling and changed. And I didn't know S.R. Shankaran, the great, and Yugandhar, they were all involved in formulating this law. So it's very humbling to know that these great people have done many things. We only know few of them. I think in that succession, taking S.R. Shankaran and Yugandhar's name, we have a very distinguished IAS officer, Kaki Madhavarao Garu. He has his own set of wonderful accomplishments. So, for those who do not know, Madhavarao Garu is, sometimes we have to say this, but he was the first
Can you
chief.
make it in 3 minutes, Maroji?
Which one? No. I'll make it very short. Yeah. Because, yeah, this is the celebration. I mean, you all, I mean, whenever I hear one aspect and another aspect of your lives, it's so inspiring, actually. Yeah. So, I'll make it short. But one thing is, he was the first, chief secretary coming from scheduled caste background. It is and never happened again. After he's the first and last so far for United Andhra Pradesh, and now even both Telangana and Andhra states do not have it. And he came from a very, very humble background. And if I'm correct, according to Neelaya Garu, his father was a bonded laborer. So he had a very, very long journey, Madhavrao Garu. So, some formal introduction is a retired IS officer, served as Chief Secretary of Andhra Pradesh after a long and distinguished career in various key government roles, including significant tenures as Secretary in multiple departments and Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister. Post retirement, he held positions as State Election Commissioner and advisor to the Governor of Bihar. He also served as Director of Central Board of the Reserve Bank of India. Actively involved with NGOs, he chaired the AP Mass and Sadikarta Foundation and President of the Institute of Public Enterprise. Trustee of North South Foundation, India. Mr. Rao is also published author and translator with English translations of Telugu literary works and articles on economics and public finance to his credit. Then Breaking Barriers, the story of a Dalit chief secretary written by Madhav Garu, memoir details of his career and examines the enduring realities of being Dalit in India. One thing I want to tell, I come from Warangal district, and when Madhav Garu was the collector of Warangal district, it was said that he did certain things. He earned the nickname of Naxalite collector. Probably, so that tells him some of the things he has done. So with that, Madhav Garu, please welcome and yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Good evening, good morning, whatever it is for you all who are participating in this interesting, useful conversation. My journey with bonded labor started in 1974, a full 2 years before the Act came into being. And incidentally, my father was not a bonded labor. He was a paleru, it's a coolie.
Yeah,
it's a 1 year term, but optional. So he has an option to come out. My journey started sometime in 1974 when I was director of social welfare. And late Shankaran was secretary to social welfare. Now, so he was a secretariat officer, I was a field officer. But secretaries do not normally go out of the secretariat. They sit in the secretariat, do their secretariat work, and if some of them have the inclination, they'll see some people take their representations. But Shankaran was altogether different person. So I was touring in areas, particularly education institutions, because I knew as a student of coming from a SC community, how the hostel work is going on, how we suffered at the hands of the people that Shanta has mentioned. And the principals and the accounts office of the colleges who would not disburse this scholarship even though it's released by the government. So I was concentrating on that. And then after Shankaran came in, he said, we'll visit as many villages as possible. So the discipline is, we start on Friday evening after the office hours, travel by an ambassador car, which I had official car, a junket of a car, and start going into different district headquarters. Either it is Adilabad in one corner of the state, or Srikakulam, or even Adilabad. So we'll travel and reach early hours of Saturday morning, get up at 8 o'clock, and go on field visits. The idea is that when you go to the field visits, the claims of the district officers that they are doing so much for the SCs, STs has to be verified. And if they're really doing a good job, pat them saying that, good, you are doing so much for the poor people who are so deserving. And if they're not doing well, they'll be given a target by what date they should complete the job. Now, this obviously has sort of driven the collectors into serious pro-social welfare activities, which not all collectors were doing, some were doing, but this made every collector active and responsible for this activity. So I used to have just half a day with my family on Sunday evening. but the rest of the time I was out in the office or field. And this went on for a few weeks. My family got restless. He said the half a day is all that he gave to the family, but now even that half day is lost. And they started grumbling. So I conveyed this to Shankaran. He said, here you'll see the humanity in that man coming out. He said, you're an IAS officer, you have given all the prestigious facilities of an IAS officer to your family. So far as your company is concerned, your wife has the company of your children, and your children have the company of their mother. Now, what about the poor people? They need your company, they need my company. So we have to do it at the expense of the family. And we were doing it. So I became a kind of second bachelorhood position during that period till I was transferred out first by Vengal on the issue of bonded labor, incidentally. This happened in 1974 when I visited a called Bodmatpalli village in Medak district. Now, the way we were doing it is that Ms. Shankaran would be sitting under a tree outside the village, and people will be gathered, and then we'll be talking to them. And I always take out one or two persons aside a little away and talk to them. And the conversation of the first bonded labor, official bonded labor ever detected on record, now goes like this. It will take about 5 minutes to read out. So I saw him a little uncomfortable, panicky, and diffident. I pulled him aside and said, in a very friendly tone, you have some land or you live on wages? No land. You work as a daily laborer or jetagadu to a landowner or dora. They're called dora in Telangana. I work as jetagadu. With whom? He gave the name. For how long? 20 years. If you have been working with the same dora for so long, your dora must be treating you very well and paying you well. Yes. How much does the dora pay you? Dora gives me food 3 times a day, tobacco and clothes. In addition, how much in cash or in form of rain will you get? Since you're working for the same dora for so long, I'm sure he's paying very, very well. My dora is good. Your father has land, or was he also Jetagadu? He was also Jetagadu. With whom? With the same dora under whom I am now working. For how long? Till my father became too old and I succeeded him. Obviously, dora must be too good to make 2 generations work for him. Long silence. Is the remuneration supposed to be a secret to you? Don't worry. I won't take you because I am having a good job at good number of servants at home. No, bonded labor. I am not going to replace as no. Then he said, suspecting a rat, I told him a little further, took him further away from the crowd. Have you taken any loan from Dora? Silence. Is the Dora making you work for repayment of loan without wages? Nods reluctantly and slowly. How many others are working like you in this village? He gave the names of other bonded labor. What if you don't continue to work because Dora is not paying wages in cash or kind? Reluctantly, he confessed. He will be physically dragged for work by the Dora. He said he had tried to run away from the village, but was chased and brought back to the village. Hence, running away or stopping work was not an option to him. This was the classic case of bonded labor. Now, after this, as I said, this is the first official detection of a bonded labor in at least Andhra Pradesh, I don't know, in other states. So after that, as we were going on Saturday, Sunday, I made it a point to take one or two people away and doing this bonded labor detection. There's one Mr. Bomaya, was a school teacher of an elementary school. He was helping us. His name is Bomaya. He was helping us in giving a list of people secretly. And then we will go to that village, release them. And this went on till a date when we went to West Godavari, the richest district in Andhra Pradesh. And there also he was able to detect a bonded labor. So this is where the officialization of the bonded labor issue has happened. And this material was in the head of Mr. Shankaran. And when Indira Gandhi wanted a good legislation to come and that benefits the poor people, Mr. Shankaran has handed over that information and that became a Bonded Labor Act. So this is the way it happened. So since the issue is bonded labor, I have dealt with it and I would leave it there. Thank you for all those people who are participating in this discussion.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Madhavrao Garu. I know coming from Telangana, I mean, I'm glad you brought this out. I think which had one of the worst bonded labor system until, Nizam time and the landlords were ruling until 1948. But it didn't go away. It's a much better.
May I take another minute?
Yeah, please.
See, when I was doing this, Bengal Rao told his secretary, this man, that is me, is spreading a revolution in the villages. These are his words. He is spreading in the revolution in the villages. Confine him to the four walls of secretariat so that he cannot go to the secretariat. And Shankaran survived Bengal Rao. Then came Mr. Dr. Channa Reddy as the chief minister. And then one day in the cabinet meeting, Channa Reddy told Shankaran, you are creating problems in the villages by calling some of them as bonded labor. There are no bonded labor. I have made verification and there are no bonded labor. And then Shankaran said, there are bonded labor, otherwise we will not be doing this job. We don't confer a bonded labor degree on somebody, but when we find one only, we'll release. He said, no, you're not telling the truth. He said, I never tell lies. I'm telling what I have seen. And then obviously, Channa Reddy showed his anger. And then Shankaran came back and said, I'm going on leave. Because it's a matter of whether I go on leave first or he transfers me from here. So I would not give him that opportunity. So he applied for 2 months leave. And for making up the loss of company, he was staying for 2 months in my house to give a company to my children and my wife. And then at that time, Mr. Raghunath Reddy was Minister in Labour. He took him to Delhi. And there he got a connection with Askar and all that. That's the story, the other part of the story. Please go ahead.
No, that's very good. So for those who don't know, Vengal Rao was a chief minister of United Andhra Pradesh in 70s. And Channa Reddy also, both from Congress party. So yeah, thanks for bringing that because Telangana experienced one of the worst, bonded labor system. We used to call it Telugu Vetti, and then that actually prompted this whole Telangana Peasants Movement in a big way. And, that was organized by the Communist Party as the first armed rebellion in India. And unfortunately, even after independence, it took a long time to, remove this completely. I mean, it's a much, relatively much better, but it was one of the worst feudal system and one of the worst bonded labor system we had experienced, our ancestors have experienced in Telangana. With that, thank you, Madhara Garu. Some of the, I know these fundamental, I mean, like a little things that, you guys worked on actually blossomed into an act and, and made a significant impact all over India over the years. Okay. With that, I'll now welcome Gandham Chandrudu, IAS Garu. And he has his own very, very inspiring story. And also, he's currently a labor commissioner, so he can probably talk some of the current issues and the challenges and how they're addressing it as a current IS officer. So, just to give a formal introduction, Chandrudu is a 2010 batch IAS officer. He is currently working as a Commissioner of Labor, Andhra Pradesh government, which is tasked with taking care of welfare of labor in Andhra Pradesh. He earlier worked as collector of Anantapuram district. He has sprung like an eagle in his life journey from a small village boy coming from very humble beginnings and oppressed caste to studying at Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya Karnool to railway ticket collector to IAS, and then later some of Boston Study Group members know him well because he studied at Harvard, prestigious Harvard University, a couple of years back. He has worked in various capacities so far as sub-collector, project officer, integrated tribal development agency, additional commissioner, capital regional development authority, CRDA, joint collector, Vijayawada, commissioner tribal welfare, vice chairperson, managing director of AP SC Corporation, collector in district magistrate Anantapuram district, secretary of social welfare and minority welfare departments, managing director Swachha Andhra Pradesh, and now as commissioner labor in the last 16 years of service as an IS officer. He studied, I said about this Harvard University as a Mason Fellow and graduated with a Master of Public Administration and Public Policy in 2023. With that, Chandrudu, please enlighten us some of the work you're currently involved in, and of course, you can also share some of the experiences you and your parents had.
Okay. Thank you for that, kind introduction, Mr. Venkat Garu. And it's a honor to speak along with the, luminaries of Professor Shanta Sinha Madam and Madhav sir. So they are the, the tallest giants. We grew up knowing about them. And the current giant, Jangam Chinnaya also. So speaking amongst these people is always, a little bit unnerving. So I'll try to give whatever my brief association with bonded labor. One first thing with Boston Study Group, I have this association, and thank you so much. When I was there at Boston, there was a very kind interaction and a good rapport there. I thank all the BSG group members. So coming to the topic of unfinished emancipation, as Nilaya Garu has, in progress. So there will never be a complete picture, or there is something always to be improved upon. So obviously, the emancipation of bonded labor is unfinished, and as everything else would have been, it always is improving. And as the people who have experienced it firsthand, or lived experiences, the speed of the progress is quite, slow. And we have people have every right to say that this speed is not enough. So as a civil servant, I would not go into the, what is lacking or what could have been done better, but I would focus on what are the, things that have been done by the government, both at the central level and the state level, and how this progress has been brought. Before, delving into the, the government work as well as the Supreme Court interventions, I just want to take 1 minute on the, the origins of this issue, the deeper why the issue of bonded labor has come into place. If you look at the various countries, why this bonded labor or forced labor, it is not difficult to find the economics as the reason. The economics is the primary reason. Economic reasons are the primary reason for this. In India also, it has started as a, economic factors are behind the bonded labor. But over a period of time and gradually and by design, the economic reasons were brought into social and political aspects. And later religion was also brought into it. And the reasons this bonded labor was elevated into religious dogmas. There was a divine ordination theory that was brought into it. And servitude or the forced labor has been ascribed to certain section of people based on their birth or actions of the previous births. And some are like, told that they are born into servitude. And even if their masters release them, or the individuals purchase the freedom, but they are never free from the servitude or the labor, bonded labor. Once it gets the divine ordination and made inescapable, there is no need for any force to keep it continuing. It became the norm or the way of the society. In other countries, there were violent revolutions or resistances against such forced, and or bonded labor systems. But unfortunately, in India, because it was internalized by the, subordinated, there were no such forced or violent resistances. Then bonded labor, rather than anti-law, it became the law. Not only it became a law, it became a divine ordination. Once it becomes a divine ordination, it has to be followed as a duty by the, ones that are subordinated. And also the other who are dominant, it became a duty for them to keep it enforced. So that was the reason or the origins and the entrenchedness or longevity why the bonded labor is surviving even to this day. 1950, when the new republic has adopted the constitution, the curse of bonded labor was exposed, and the Indian constitution has provided various articles duly unlying this practice. Because it was such a serious issue and such an entrenched scourge, remedies were included in the fundamental rights as well as the directive principles of the state policy. As we all know, Article 23(1), the human trafficking and beggar are the forced unpaid labor, and other similar forms of forced labor are prohibited, and any contravention to this provision shall be offense punishable in accordance with the law. Article 21 says right to life and personal liberty. Later on, Supreme Court has come out with a broader expansion of that provision. And any bonded labor or forced labor is a violation of Article 21 and thus constitute, bonded labor. Then Article 42 states that the state is supposed to secure just and human conditions of work. So any violation of those just and human conditions is again the state has to ensure. Then Article 43, state is supposed to secure a living wage and decent standard of life. So this is the constitutional backing. What has happened in 1950 was a complete reversal of the value system from being divinely ordained servitude or the forced labor, which has to be dutifully or meekly followed by the subordinated, or to be enforced even with violence by the dominant, to outlawing the bonded labor or forced labor, and state being mandated with the abolition and eradication of it completely. That's a sort of revolution. So in pursuance of those revolutionary articles of the Constitution, later on, as Santa Sinha madam told and Madhura sir have told, so Bonded Labor System Abolition Act was brought in 1976. It's since then, it's been 50 years and 76 years since the Constitution has come into force. The changing of the value system and looking from the larger perspective, it's a great revolution. So the reversal of the earlier value system or the belief systems of from being the law or being the divine ordination, it became the anti-law. So that is a big revolution. Then whatever progress that was achieved, though we might say that the progress is not so quick, or there is not much progress, but still I would consider there is a lot of progress. So later on, Supreme Court has again expanded the understanding or the interpretation of the bonded labor, even without a formal agreement of debt, or even if without physical coercion. Still, if somebody is working forcibly, that is considered to be a bonded labor. Then the burden of proof, as professor has told, has shifted to the employer or to the state. So it is not on the bonded laborer to establish that he is bonded laborer, but it is the state or the employer who are supposed to prove that that person is not the bonded laborer. Then the state is obligated to proactively identify, release, and rehabilitate. And latest one is anybody working less than the minimum wages are presumed to be bonded labor. So now looking back with till when I was looking at my own life, I was only saying or considering that my father was a bonded laborer. So he worked as bonded laborer for maybe more than 45 years. Then I was also working, before I went, I went to school or till 5th grade, or even after going to school. Now, if I look at this presumption or the way Supreme Court has interpreted, anybody working less than for a minimum wages is a bonded laborer. So that means, so not only my father, even we were also bonded laborer during late 80s and 90s also. That was the situation. So that is the progress, or a lot of progress has happened, but still there is a lot that can happen. I would say in the recent past, there are some welcoming initiatives taken by government of Andhra Pradesh as well as government of India also. Now there is a proper rehabilitation scheme, which is a central sector scheme introduced in 2021 by the government of India. It is continuing. And there was, during Madhavarao's time, it was maybe properly put into place, but in between somewhere there was some confusion as to which department has to be the nodal officer, or which who has to implement this. So recently in 2025, government of Andhra Pradesh has decided that labor department would be the nodal department to implement the provisions of bonded labor Abolition Act. Then the vigilance committees at the district level have been revamped, and we have given revised notification. Then various stakeholders are being effectively consulted nowadays. And legal services also has actively participating in identification as well as releasing. So a lot of changes have come. So though there can be much more speedy progress, but there are still a lot of progress. So I would take this consider this progress is very far ahead of uh, far ahead. Then government of India has now in 2016 has set 2030 as the deadline for fully ending this system in India. Though we may not be not much closer to that, but still having a deadline is a great thing, and a lot of progress can still happen in this next 4 5 years with the continued schemes and support from both the governments at state and central level. So thank you. This is what uh, thank you for giving this opportunity. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, Chandrudu, for enlightening us. And I know I don't know anybody. I think in Telugu, if you read, he just wrote 2 days back his story about just getting a caste certificate as a young 11-year-old boy. That was actually went viral all over. I got so I just translated it. I'll share it in an English translation in other groups. But wow, it was heart wrenching and very inspiring. Where he started off, and sometimes these little things as caste certificate is become such a monumental thing for some people, and things have been improving, but it's still long ways to go to achieve these little things, simple things, these fundamental rights for all the sections of people to access them freely and easily. But anyway, Chandru, thank you for that talk. And it's not lost. Actually, I saved the best in Dr. Jangam Chinnaya. I was talking to him about this, and what I found is, his story. I'm so impressed and inspiring all the time, and different aspects of his life. And what I came to know is, I think among all our attendees here, everybody probably, I know Chandru said a little bit, he also worked, but Jangam Chinne actually worked as a bonded labor for 2 years. It was very little. So that is, and starting from all the other challenges he had growing up, and where he is now as a faculty as a tenured faculty in social sciences in Canada is an amazing achievement, because I also done PhD. I know how difficult it is to become a faculty, that to tenured faculty in a university. So that's up to you, Jangam Chinnaya. And just for those formal introduction, is associate professor in the Department of History at Carleton University, Ottawa, Canada. He writes on the social and intellectual history of Dalits and the anti-caste movements in modern South Asia. His first book, Dalits and the Making of Modern India, was published by Oxford University Press in 2017. Present the critical role of Dalits in the imagination and making of modern India. His translation of the seminal Dalit text, Gabbilam Bad by Gurram Joshua, the father of Dalit literature in Telugu, was published as Gabbilam Bad, a Dalit epic by Yoda Press in 2022, and was a winner of the Association of for Asian Studies, aka Ramanujan Prize for Translation in 2024. He was awarded Felix and Harry Frank Guggenheim Foundation Scholarship for doctoral studies. It is a very prestigious scholarship. He was postdoctoral fellow at the International Center for Advanced Studies, New York University. He's finishing 2 book manuscripts, one on the long Juri history of caste in South Asia, and one on a memoir based on his mother, Jogini Chinnubai. As an activist, he also founded the South Asian Dalit Adivasi Network, Southern in Canada. The Southern as a Dalit and anti-caste advocacy organization spearheaded the campaign to include caste as a protected category within the Toronto School District Board, Canada's largest school board. Southern's advocacy enabled the Ontario Human Rights Commission to formulate policy on caste discrimination. Due to his advocacy, the Carleton University Academic Staff Association is the first university association in Canada to include caste as a protected category. Thank you for all the work you do, Chinnaya, and writings you do. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Brother Venkat, and Jai Bhim to you all.
Right.
And thanks to Boston Circle, and it's one of the I think earliest and the pioneering organization which actually initiated the debate.
Put the stuff. What? Why putting it here?
Hey, can you
You
mute?
have-
We'll mute. Yeah.
Yes, thank you again.
Oh, I have to unmute you. And unmute yourself.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you again, and
Yeah.
Boston Study Circle and also Venkat and friends for this invitation. I think I'm one of the last person to enter into this discussion about bonded labor, and it was originally, I think, intended with Madhav sir and Shanta Sinha ma'am and brother Chandrudu. And basically, no, it is very personal to me in the sense, not just my experience, but also one of the reasons why I agreed to be part of this discussion, not because of my own experience, but because of the excitement of being part of a discussion with Madha Rosa or Shanta Sinha, and also Shankaran sir. Madha Rosa extensively told about him, and
So Madam Shanta Sinha is your professor, right?
yeah, she was not just professor. She's like beyond professor. Like that's why I want to tell you what actually it means to be part of this
Please.
conversation. Basically, when I'm growing up as student, both in undergraduation and also post graduation at University of Hyderabad, and also afterwards in JNU, and also coming back to Osmania University as a faculty, and then moving to England. And these are people actually. It is so nice to be part of this, because there are many people. I always tell that it's my journey as a person, though I struggled, but I had so many people who gave me confidence, and also people who have supported. Like I remember Mother also, like these are the people to whom I used to run whenever I'm in trouble, starting with Shankaran sir to Madhav sir and Shantasina ma'am. She was not just a teacher, but actually I am one of the earliest person to be part of the Shankarpalli camp, MVF camp for bonded laborers. I taught there, and in fact, that was the beginning of my end of my manual labor. Before that, every holidays I used to go to my village and work in the fields and work in construction. Even in Hyderabad, I worked in construction. And Shankarpalli camp was the first. In fact, Shantasina madam's student, Chaudhary sir, was my teacher in Nagarjun Sagar, who actually asked me one day that, what will you do in summer after the college? I said, I'll go to my village and I'll be working in fields. And he said, why do you want to do that? I'll take you to Shanta madam. Why don't you work in the MBA? And I remember the first meeting with Shanta Sinha ma'am going to Shankarpalli, in fact, in the campaigns. And uh, when I first saw her, she looked like very elite. I don't know whether she remembers it or not, but the first question I asked when we went to campaign, that because when she was in the office, she was always talking to everyone in English. And innocently, I was in my undergraduation first year, BA first year. In the evening, when I went with her, and first question I asked that, you're so elite, how will you speak to the village women to release the bonded laborers? And then, she took me around that whole evening. I went with her, and she showed me how she speak to people. And that was like, beginning of a very important transformation in my life, not just an opportunity to escape one manual labor, but also to see that, the possibility of changing world. And So in that context, I think, like it is so important, that, people like them, like, played a very important role in transformation. And also, Shankaran sir, Madhav sir, basically when we are growing up, these are the people who actually we used to read about them, not because they are big officers, but because they are like activist bureaucrats who are interested in transforming society. And I think that is what, if there is anything special about IAS officers in Andhra Pradesh, particularly generation of Madhav or even people like, Dr. P.V. Ramesh, and also, Dasara Srinivasulu, and all these people, Subramanyam, and also Koppala Raju sir. What did they do to us is that, they didn't talk, their lives are not about how IAS officers enjoy power and, luxuries and comforts, but also IAS officers' commitment for social transformation. I think that way, I always tell people, like whoever working here, in fact, uh, friends who work on South Asia, that, how, the distinct aspect of IAS officers coming from Dalit background, particularly in Andhra Pradesh, is that, they not only forgot their roots, but also they work all their life to give same opportunities they had for themselves, for their children, to people who are coming from, most oppressed context, like people like us. So in that context, I think, these generation officers, what they did is that, they gave us confidence. Like, even I remember, whenever we had problem, we knew that, we can go to them, and they will have, their support for us, as long as we are doing right things in life. So in this context, I think, Shankaran sir, Madhav sir, and, all, everyone particularly, they showed a different aspect of life, particularly coming to bureaucracy. People are coming with a purpose. The purpose is social transformation. I think that's why I think now the shift in the way in which bureaucracy and the response, I think the success of welfare state model, especially the liberal democracy in India, owes to these people's sacrifices and dedication. I think they said, they showed to the world that, state is there to protect the most vulnerable people. And I think that ethic of commitment to emancipation of the most oppressed people, as, Shanta ma'am said, unless you have, the last child, the girl child, either Adivasi or Dalit, whose life indicates the, testament for democracy's success. I think this is what I think, the 30, 40 years of the service, and the way in which they did to, help transform society. I think even AP Study Circle, for example, which produced hundreds and thousands of Dalit bureaucrats. I think this is also a very important model. And also the social welfare residential schools and the AP residential schools. What they did is that, with dedication, by making these schools, not just, giving food and shelter, but also centers for excellence in terms of giving us aspiration and hope. Like I went to social for residential school, and, I studied in social for education. And, in fact, not only me, there are many people with whom I studied, became engineers, and, became doctors, and became, teachers. In this context, what these institutions have done is that, they provided avenues for us to, escape not just caste based oppression, but also everyday drudgery of, poverty. And in this context, I think building these institutions and state institutions as very accountable and also very important part of social emancipation was central to the idea of, building a democratic society. I think in that context, I know, Shanta ma'am pointed out about, we only talk about emergency as the most, negative thing happened to Indian, context. I think, this is what I think, long years back, I think, um, Chandrabharan Prasad also wrote a very interesting article about it, particularly how emergency brought these feudal elites into the forefront of the political power. And it is these elites, basically the landed elites, who are losing control over the, labor, actually were the one who played a very important role in anti-Congress, anti-Indira Gandhi movement in the context of, emergency movement. I think, if you look at, I think, in the larger frame of things, particularly in terms of the way in which these, transformative legislations, and also the way in which the caste dynamics. I think one of the important, challenge we have in understanding why we are in this sort of situation in India, the complicity in terms of corruption and also the everyday degrading institutions and also the people's apathy towards what is happening is part of the caste dynamics and caste ethic. I think that's one of the reasons why we see that like for example, Madharo sir, when he was narrating about Vengal Rao, and Vengal Rao, why was he against people like Madharo sir? Because Vengal Rao himself was a Velamadara, and Chennareddy, again, another feudal, landed fellow. So what you see is that these are the people actually, if unless we look at the caste dynamics, and it's very difficult to critically appreciate actually where is the resistance coming from, why are they against these sort of things, and also the in the context of what is happening, like after 50 years we are seeing, but also what we are seeing is that there was a systematic effort to dismantle the institutions, public institutions, both colleges, universities, and also the government employment, which actually are the pillars of Dalit and also OBC emancipation, Adivasi emancipation. I think this is what the anti-Mandal protest or anti-Mandal, movement actually begins a very important transformation in terms of taking back the welfare state system that which actually provided guaranteed rights and also guaranteed opportunity for people from oppressed caste backgrounds. I think this is what, like, if you look at, I think last time we had a talk here, I think Boston, Ravikant Kisana was telling, the 50% of universities in India are now private, which do not follow reservation system, which do not have any accountability in terms of social responsibility. And what we are seeing is that there is a biggest destruction of opportunities for people from deprived caste, deprived communities. And I think these are the ways in which I think that's what in fact the way in which the land ceiling act has been completely destroyed in India, particularly post 1990s. And you see that like the way in which this land holding castes have occupied lands, for example Hyderabad city, and people shamelessly boast, like for example KCR other day talking about how he owns 100 acres of land. If any other normal democracy will be in jail, not just outside. Like people like them, like what is happening is that people are shameless about boasting their how feudal they are and how oppressive they are. So in this context, what we are seeing is that these sort of aspect have a lot to do with the way in which caste politics have normalized this inequalities, normalized oppression, normalized the way in which people can be mistreated. Is very again what we are seeing is that last 15 years of experience is that this is what is now getting normalized in India. Injustice is okay, privatization is okay, corruption is fine.
Corruption is
Corruption is fine,
yeah.
because we have the highest office people are sitting talking lies in public, right? And we think it's very normal, but in any other normal place it won't happen, because I live in Canada. I see a very different sort of democracy. Like in this context, I think when we talk about ending bonded labor and abolition of inequalities, one of the important things we have to talk about is how we are basically our democracy is failing, and how this failing democracy is one of the important crises we are having in terms of not having basically doing away with the opportunities. That's what I feel when I talk about these things. I feel sad that the opportunities I had to become what I am today do not have for SC/ST students in India or OBC students in India. And I talk to many people who they don't even know what kind of future they are going to have. I speak to 20 people, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, even 18-year-olds. We used to have so much positive aspect about life that we know that if we study hard we become something, but that's not the case now. And in that context, I think it's very important. The examples the activist bureaucrats have shown to us is that commitment to social justice and also commitment to equality and justice is very, very central. I think that is what we have to tell people. And again, my own life, like why I wanted to talk to you, because as Venkat pointed out, my education started as a bonded laborer. Basically, I 2 years I used to work for my landlords as a, when I was like 4 or 5 year old, because my grandfather died then, because my mother was Jogini. So she was at home, and the next person has to serve is like me. So I was in 2 years, like two different landlords. I was 1 year and second year, and I used to look at newspapers coming to their house, magazines, and I used to always watch them. They were very curious why I look at papers and all these things. And that's so basically what had happened, that because their children used to go. One good thing about my though I was bonded laborer, but my ready landlords were very keen that I should go to school. And they always used to tell my mother that Chinni, your son, not your son goes to school, he will get a government job. I remember one of my landlord's eldest son used to be a math teacher, Srinivas Reddy. And he used to force me to he used to teach me math. And though I used to sit in a lot of distance, but he was very keen that I should study. Same thing with my second landlord with whom I worked, and Ganga Reddy, I remember. you know he was like so keen that I should study and go to do something and become something. That even in when I was in hostel, social for hostel, he used to have a shop in the same town. And every day he used to make it a point to come and see me once, what I am doing. And that's what it's very interesting, like in this most oppressive feudal system also, you had these very kind human beings who thought that there are these possibilities. And interestingly, I am still in touch with these families. And in that context, I think it's so interesting to see, like the way in which India has transformed in front of our eyes. But what we see is that the how it is becoming now is a very, very different. And in this context, I think I feel we have our experiences and where we are today, I think we owe it to not only sacrifices like people like Madhav Rao and also Shankaran sir and Shanta ma'am and others, but also I think institutions which were built in post-independent India, and the way in which the liberal democratic institutions, particularly the Constitution, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and the way in which this, we have a right over the nation. And to claim that that one of the important things, we fought for it. No one has granted it out of charity. And these are as citizens and also people, sons of the soil and children of the soil, we have a right to be part of this nation and also claim over this nation's resources. I think the language of rights is very, very central to the idea of Dalit assertion, Adivasi assertion. And it is this failure which actually produces the violent political movements. And I think that, for example, 90s and 80s Naxalite movement in Telangana, what it did is that it basically shook not only the state, but also what it did, reminded the state the failures of the state actually produced this violent Naxalite movements. And if you look at the way in which these movements articulated caste discrimination and low wages, no wages, bonded labor, wet chakri, and also the Adivasi displacement, what they remind is that the importance of state responsibilities and how state should react to the needs and needs of the people. And in this context, I think I feel it's a not only 50 years of bonded labor. I think it's a great honor to listen to people like Madhav sir and Shanta ma'am, and also remind I feel very sad. I miss Shankaran sir a lot, because I had a very big he had he's like that to everyone. He's like father to everyone he interacted with. But I really shared a special bond with him, and I used to go and spend time, in the evenings, and used to walk with him, and used to share so many things. I think they have really shaped who we are today and what we do. And I'm very grateful and thanks to this opportunity to be part of this discussion and also part of this conversation. And thank you, Venkat and friends, for this. And Jai Bhim again to all of you.
Jai Bhim, you're very eloquent for Dr. Chinaya. And yeah, you're just very, very inspiring to be among some of you who had to, travel a long distance to where you are today. And we're fortunate that I think we're living in a different era than some of our ancestors. But just I was anybody please, if you want to comment, question, now we have all the formal all the speakers who were supposed to give their initial remarks are given, and we can open up for questions and comments. So please raise your hand or feel free to type your questions. Okay. I think some of you might have already opened up. Who is there? Venkat Reddy Garu, please unmute yourself. Venkat Reddy Garu.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you? Yeah. So just to give,
Yeah.
I was about to call. So Venkat Reddy Garu is also one of the, how do I describe him? Is currently, this MVF Foundation that Professor Shanta Sinha has started and led. Now the front runner is Venkat Reddy Garu. He's been I don't know what title, but he's heading this foundation for a number of years, and they've been doing wonderful work even today, different parts of India. So please, Venkat Reddy garu, go
Yeah.
ahead and share your
థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి.
thoughts. Yeah.
థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. జస్ట్ అంటే ఈ మధ్యనే మనం ఈ సెమినార్
Venkat Reddy
జరుగుతున్న
garu, can you please
Yeah.
speak in English? So we
Okay.
have so many, amazing.
Okay, when we were discussing this seminar topic, in this duration, we
Yeah.
have the government has released nearly 423 bonded laborers from Nizamabad who have come here from Nellore. So
Wow.
there is existing, that's what I shared with Nilaya Garu. That's what happening, and we are thinking of 50 years of bonded labor thing. This is invisible. A lot of things are happening. The challenge we face is the enforcement authorities are not internalized the situation. When we go there, they say bonded labor means they think chains in the hands. So there is no chains. Why are you saying bonded labor? Bonded is chains. So these officers, we need to be still we need to be train them or orient them, or all these institutions. We face a lot of problems, but we found that this Bonded Labor Abolition Act is very powerful act. We were going around with posters, pamphlets, saying them the chatta richa neram. That was our grassroots level volunteer was saying. Now also we are saying that. That is one thing. Second thing is, I think I am glad that Chandrudu sir is here and labor officer, and I didn't know that revenue to labor has come, this bonded labor abolition. I think this very important that this consequence of this compensation is the problem for the officers. They are not able to recognize them as bonded labor. Still it is going on, but that is one area which practically we are facing. And certificates, I think I read this so many times and tears rolling down on faces, but because we are handling thousands of certificates, Aadhaar cards for these children, first generation children going to schools, is a tough task. I think the burden of getting certificates should take by the government. And these people from the villages, they are running around in these centers, Aadhaar centers, with photocopies. I think that responsibility of giving certificates should be on the government, not on the child or the poor parent. So bonded labor is still exists. And one anecdote, just I'll finish it. In Suryapet, we made a list of bonded labor children. We found suddenly all political parties are in that list. Political party heads of the district are employing bonded labor in that list, from ML parties to Congress party. So we have to give them the lists and said, you are talking about World Bank, bonded labor, everything, but we are employing as a bonded labor. But they released, as Shanta Sinha madam said, we had worked on consensus building on this issue. All of them was released publicly and said, we are now bonded labor free political party presidents. So that is what the anecdote is very helpful, and these people are worked for against bonded labor, but still we have to be vigilant. All bricklins in Hyderabad, all buildings in Hyderabad built by bonded laborers.
Wow.
The blood is in that buildings. So we have to be very vigilant on invisible bonded labor. And as Chinnaya said, it's a normal అయిపోయింది ఇది. We have to be very careful. That's what my experience I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Venkat Reddy garu. You're right. You have a lot of current issues that you're experiencing and working on. And I just put a statistic here. I was just doing some research earlier. According to the Global Slavery Index in 2023, there are 11 million people in India, which is like 8 people per thousand population. I mean, it's not a small number. 11 people. I mean, this is so still very prevalent, and only thing is I think the form has changed. You're right, invisible. It's not like old landlords agriculture, but it's in the modern places like I know these restaurants to brick kilns to I know, so it took different and the construction. Yeah, there's a lot of North Indian people come here to work in a very difficult situations. Okay, with that, I'll go next to I think Sanjay, and Raidas, and then Dr. Poshan.
Okay, thank you,
Sanjay, please
Venkat.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat. So first of all, I would like to thank all the esteemed speakers for attending the first online panel discussion under Boston Study Group's Ambedkar Lecture Series banner. And considering that BHG is celebrating the 10th anniversary of its formation, this session has more relevance to the work BHG is doing. During the discussion, it is very heartening to know that the tremendous work done by Shankaran sir and Madhav Rao sir in the field of the bonded labor. So on behalf of all of us, thank you very much. Since we have the speakers from Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, correct?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we got the
Telugu.
insight into this particular topic with respect to what has happened in these two states. I'm curious to know whether similar work has been done in the other state, and if you can provide some information of those efforts.
Yeah, anybody wants to talk about it, Madam Shanta Sinha garu? They worked all over India. Madam, you want to a little bit talk about it? Answer that question, or yeah, Madam, you're unmuted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there have been efforts in Tamil Nadu. There was a group that worked a lot on justice and how to remove bonded laborers. There have been efforts in Bihar, but in contemporary times, they're not as many as they were, say, in the 80s and 90s. And at one time, in fact, every other NGO or every other organization did have experience on getting bonded labor released. And there were first discussions on rehabilitation of bonded labor, whether it should be land or mulakat or what it has to be. But currently, I'm not aware of it being raised in the manner it was earlier. Maybe I do not know enough on it.
And Venkat Reddy garu also is current. I mean, Venkat Reddy garu, you want to say anything about other states? I know you work all over India as well right now. Is Venkat Reddy garu there? I think we lost him. Yeah, he's there. Venkat Reddy garu, you can unmute. You want to say, respond to this question? Okay, I think he's muted. We will come back to him later. So thanks, Sanjay, for asking that question. So Raidas, please go ahead. Raidas? Okay, we will come back to Rai. Dr. Poshan?
Yeah, I unmuted just.
Yeah, go ahead, Rai. Go ahead, Rai. Go, please.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Boston Study Group
Yeah.
and Venkatana for this
Yeah.
most neglected subject. And I am, as a child, son of a bonded labor. My father, his brother, both bonded laborers. I've seen it in villages. And Mother of said they call Dora. They used to come 3 a.m. in the morning to drag them into the fields, 3 a.m. in the morning. And the entire family has to wake up. So, and they come back night in, by the time children go to bed. So I've seen it. I've seen my own fathers, and I've seen the others. And luckily, my father learned other skill. He came out of that. So, and my question to Shanta Sinha garu, Madhurav garu, it's a chicken and egg. Which is responsible for which? Is the bonded labor is responsible for school dropouts, or school dropouts is responsible for bonded labor? It's a question one. While doing a research on the child labor, school dropouts and the bonded labor, while doing research, the common denominator was the caste discrimination. For both the topics, for bonded labor and school dropouts, the poverty and the caste discrimination was common denominators, even now. So while doing latest research on the school education system, 45% of teachers are OBCs, 35% of teachers are upper caste, 13% are SCs, 6% are STs. So at the school level, school dropouts responsible main reason is caste discrimination. Oh, this 45% of OBCs and 35% of upper caste, they are responsible for school dropouts. Because SC is not going to discriminate SCs, ST is not going to discriminate SCs. 86% of school dropouts are SC, STs, 60% are SCs. And upper caste continue to discriminate historically. Why OBCs are discriminating us? And this question is to Professor Jangam Chinnaya. What can be done? As a child, I have experienced discrimination in the school, and I continue to experience discrimination as a professional in America at the hands of OBCs. And Chinnaya, what can be done ourselves as a victim to avoid discrimination? What can be done to educate OBCs to discriminate Dalits? Thank you so much. First question is for Shantagar and Madhurav. Thank you.
Right. I thought I will share our work in Bihar to answer some of the question of caste discrimination. When we took a whole Mahadalit children, about 30 to 40 of them, to schools, school teacher said, "ये गंदे बच्चे को कहाँ से उठा के लाए आप?" And they scolded our volunteers saying, "Where did you lift these dirty children?" And some said, "They smell of shit. Why are you bringing them here?" So that was something that shocked all of us. And as you say, that these teachers were all from other communities and not Dalit, and they thought they were superior. A deeply entrenched caste hierarchy. At the same time, we did not think that this cannot be changed. I think that is what is important. You can change culture, you can change attitudes, you can change norms, but you can't change market. And we've really worked hard on those teachers. We could have booked cases against them on Dalit atrocity, on discrimination, but we worked on them. We got them to see the Mahadalit localities. They had never been to the Dalit localities. And you know how Bihar Dalit localities are. And slowly we got them to do discussions with the Gram Panchayats, with the Mukhiyas. We worked for one whole year on those teachers. Now, let me tell you, in those schools, there is no caste discrimination. In those schools, the teachers are proud that Mahadalit children are their students. The teachers, in fact, have harmonized the classes. Upper caste children and lower caste children sit together, play together, eat together. I feel that we will have to sort of work hard to combat it and to instill deep humanistic values in these teachers. If you do that, they will change. But if you think that they are upper caste, they will never change, they are the same, of course they will be the same. We will have to work hard. We have to struggle hard to involve them in the liberation of in erasing caste identities I strongly believe that it can change. The second thing is, I think children drop out of school. I mean, it's a school that is responsible for building inequalities in society. World over, the schools democratize societies. World over, it is a rich and poor who came to the same school, who brought in values of democracy in the society and inclusiveness. Unfortunately, in our country, the schools mimic inequalities. I think schools and education have become instruments of apartheid and exclusion. We will have to work hard to see that they become instruments of equality and inclusion. We can't give up. We can't be cynical. We have to keep trying and trying and trying. And it is hope which will give us power to change and transform.
Okay, thank you, madam. So Chinnaya, Jangam Chinnaya, you want to answer the second question?
Oh, yeah. Thank you again, Brother Roy, for this question. Yeah, basically, I think discrimination and also the way in which this, the basically caste is in graded hierarchy. I think this whole idea that, Ambedkar illustrates very interestingly about how, in caste system, people always think, people below are the best way to, demonstrate your own dignity. I think the Dalit OBC contradiction and also the problem that is a social reality I think we face in India, both in villages and urban context, where in which the because it's our caste is always about self-contained dignity, and in which this comes into context. I think people like us who are educated and who wants to build a society of caste-free society. I think we have to become troublemakers, good troublemakers. Talk about it when you face it, and also expose people who practice it. And I think there is no other way out come no other than having a dialogue and also reading, education. I always tell software engineers whom I meet, I go to their houses in North America. They have this huge TVs in the house, but not a single book in their house. I've never seen them reading a book. I see white construction laborers I come across, they sit and read books when they're having free time, but I've never seen a software engineer buying a new book and reading. And that's the sad part about most of the so-called Indians who work in software. And they don't educate themselves, and they don't educate their family. Instead they run to temples. Every time, every weekend they are running to temples to you know do things, because they have money and they have time to spend. And I think this is what we have to do. I think Boston Study Circle's importance is this, that it does a different work than others. And I think this is what we have to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jangam Chinnaya. See, at this stage, I want to just welcome back Nilaya Garu. Nilaya, you want to acknowledge a few people who are, been working at a grassroots level, and I think some of them are here. I don't know all of them. So please, why don't you just quickly, you want to acknowledge them? Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you, Dr. Venkat. And we really had a very good time. And we have Professor Moni here from Delhi.
Your
Professor
video is
Moni.
off. You want to put your video back?
Yeah, my video is back. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually, what I'm doing is I'm reading it from my WhatsApp.
That's fine then. That's fine. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's fine. Professor Moni is there, and Mr. Vinay Kumar Korivi from the Dalit Bhajan Federation.
Tell their association which
Dalit
organized it, right? Yeah.
Dalit Bhajan Front, and Gautam, Mr. Gautam is a Dalit ideologue, and Venkat Reddy Garu was here. They were from DBRC, Bhanuja from Reds, Lavanya from Navjeevan, Kamel Israya, Siva Prasad Garu, Additional Commissioner MGNRHS, he is from Andhra Pradesh, Dr. Reba Ambedkar, Lalitamma from Ford, then Ravi Adarana, Raghu Adarana, Dr. Narsimha Reddy Garu, Gangi Reddy Garu, Shankar, DBF Telangana, and Ratnam PT from Telangana, Sunil Swartz, Sham International Justice Mission, and yeah, we have Andy and Sri Harsha from Chhattisgarh. So it's nice to have all these people on the as part of the participants. All of them have really contributed massive eradication programs across both the states, as I know them very well. So I once again thank all the participants and the panel members. And we were also discussing about the untouchability practices. I just wanted to read a small paragraph that I picked it up from when I wrote I had a Zoom meeting with my father in heaven. So the last word that he said, it's hypothetical. Bonded labor caused immense suffering, forced labor, caste discrimination, humiliation, labor exploitation, economic exploitation, and physical violence. Everything was part of it. It must be eradicated in whatever the form it exists. As you demanded, you in the sense me, he was telling me and our Dalit friends who participated in the UN World Conference Against Racism in Durban, we have demanded reparation for the people who suffered, actually, especially for the apartheid people. We were demanding reparations. This kind of a reparation must be sought in case of bonded labor. The rulers should apologize for the injustice being done to us. This is exactly been put it in a format. I think with that I'll close it. Thank you, Venkat, and thank all the people who have participated and the dignitaries and in the meeting. Thank you so much. If I
Thank you,
missed
Nilaya.
somebody's name, kindly excuse me because I couldn't see this in my mobile.
No
Thank you
problem,
so
no
much.
problem.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
So we have a couple more questions. I think we can take, if you want, I mean, we can stay a little beyond 12 o'clock also. I mean, 12 here in the EST time. So I'll go next to Ravi Paul. Ravi Paul, please go ahead, unmute, and you can ask question or comment, please. Ravi Paul. Actually, Dr. Poshan, you raised hand, right? And I lost you. You want to ask, Dr. Poshan?
Can I speak?
Ravi.
This is Ravi.
Hi, Venkat.
Yeah. Just wait, Poshan. Ravi Gar, please go ahead, please, Ravi.
Thank you, Brother Venkat. That's wonderful. I'm so glad to be a part of this discussion group with elite panel speakers and the think tank and scholars. I'm an NGO. I've been working in all parts of India from 25 years, mostly into the interiors of tribal areas, cities, and some parts of villages. So I would like to answer what Brother Sanjay was asking. We've been doing this in parts of, first we started in 2002 in Orissa with this bricklin workers. The way that we brought up these kids, it's called literacy programs. So started molding them in not on a victim perspective, but on a victor perspective. Okay, so we should first erase that from their minds that they come from vulnerable communities. So we started educating them and showing the difference, the way they speak, they behave, the way they dress, the way they clothe. So their behavioral patterns, the educational patterns brought the change in the community. That's we started in Sambalpur like in 2002, and we started playing in Chhattisgarh because what I was just checking in Chat GPT, the current statistics that especially in Telangana and Andhra is also quite interesting. It's still prevalent. So what I see much of these areas where we go, the economical backwardness rather than caste discrimination. So we identify the problem, we give the solution, and the same being taught to these children, behaving ourselves not from a victim card. So the difference that what the community sees, because we as a Christian missionaries go to every part and make them, I know you're because partiality is not acceptable in the sight of God. So we all have a dignity, the respect and equal opportunities, then we present ourselves to the society as a top class citizen, not a third class citizen. So I'm so happy for this invitation. I would like to thank Neela Agaru, and I'm representing Adana Foundation as a vice president, and we're doing tremendous work. And that's whatever we are doing now. The kids are in US right now, and most of them are completed the PG, and they're on a victorious path. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravi, for that wonderful comment. I know with all the challenges, there are people like you who are making a very, very positive change. Good to hear those things. Dr. Poshan, we lost again. Okay. Janardhan Garu, please go ahead and ask your question or comment. Janardhan?
Sir,
Yeah, please go ahead.
hello. Sound is here, sir.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Sir, my name is Janardhan.
Yeah,
I'm a
please.
retired teacher. I'm working for the eradication of child labor with Padma Shri Shanta Sinha. We are
Wonderful.
working Balakarmika Vimochana Vedika.
Mhm.
So, in my experience in Telangana, Ugadi time, the village landlords, they take the children in the bonded labor. So in that time, we go to the village and motivated the landlords and for parents. In that time, we got some results also. So in that way, I asked the question of Shanta Sinha. So before that, Madhavrao is, I have seen Sir Madhavrao sir, when he, in the Lok Sabha party, internal elections in that time, I met the Madhavrao ji sir, a very great social persons I have seen in that time. So it is a very happy, sir. So I asked the question to the Shanta Sinha, which process give the eradication bonded labor motivation or acts? This is my question, sir. Or both? This is my question, sir, for the Shanta Sinha.
Yeah, Madam is still here.
It's a very interesting question. I think we could not have intervened if there was no act. What gives legitimacy to intervene and gives strength even to the bonded laborers to get out of bondage, to question their landlord, is the law. And I think law is very, very important. I mean, without the law, we couldn't have had the instrument to even raise the issue of bondage. I think that's very, very important. But then, because there is law, you intervene. How far do you use the law? You use the law as a last resort. If they do not relent, if the employers do not listen to you, then ultimately, of course, you have to use the law. I mean, how else can you can one get out of exploitation and oppression? I think law is very, very important. We use it as a last resort, and we need it to release bonded laborers. Without law, I don't see how one could even legitimately do what one did. It's so important to have the law.
Correct. Yeah. Laws are the
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
fundamental things to start with. Yeah. So next, I think Dr. Poshan, you're back. Why don't you go ahead? Dr. Poshan?
Thank you, Dr. Venkat, and
Yeah,
thank you everyone
please.
for insightful speeches. I think partly my question was answered in previous question, but I think I vividly remember reading a story where Shankaran sir was given a report to Chenna Reddy, the first report of child laborers, and unfortunately he was in his constituency was the highest, and when he shown this report to him, I think he apologies, but he thrown the file on his face, and after which he went to Northeast for his chief secretary. My question is around that: is the biggest enemy is the government or the establishment? I think Mrs. Shanta Sinha Madam just said that we use it as a last resort. I think. What were your experiences that using sorry for my naive question. What were your experiences using the law to enforce this aggressively or more promptly than waiting for them to do that? Thank you.
Yeah.
I must tell you that we began by using the law, educating the bonded laborers about the act, telling them that it was perfectly correct for them not to repay loans. In fact, we also said that they had many fears. What will happen if we don't repay loans? What will happen to our family? What if I needed loan again? Be like, can I go back? What about the violence that we meet? They're so vulnerable, so marginalized, that so many questions, and we had to answer by saying that, look, you're doing nothing illegal, you're not doing anything immoral. They are niyatunda. Is it niyat? Is it correct for us to ditch the landlord? Eggotte etla, eggotocha. That was the fear. So we had to tell them that, look, they have eggotified you more than you have eggotified them. They should have paid you minimum wages. If you make the calculations, what you got was nothing. On top of it, there was no dignity, and every law is on your side, so you don't have to worry on that count. So we had to give them a lot of strength, and that strength came from all the laws, all the constitutional rights that were, because otherwise they really felt that they would be on the bad side. And I must tell you that none of them would like to do something which is not legally correct. Because law was on their side, they were willing to stand, they were willing to question, and they were willing to protest. My worry was that in that protest, because we were working on children, would it harm children even more if we use that form of protest? As I mentioned to you, the kind of violence that came as a consequence of questioning, was something that was very difficult to handle. They were in the weakest moment. Women were not allowed to work in the farm. They went hungry for 2 full weeks. They had no food, they had no wages. So, that is the kind of retaliation that there was. Yes, law is important, but we will have to prepare them for the retaliation. They knew there would be retaliation, but it helped them because it gave them courage. It knew they can defy. It knew that they can question. It knew that they were not alone. They had support of so many Dalit leaders outside the village who can come and stand by them. And they felt very, very strong about it. But it took a long, at least a year or more, for them to establish some kind of a balance in terms of their economy. We were thinking that maybe there could be some other way of resolving this issue. But without the law, we couldn't have intervened at all. There is so much of violence in bonded labor issue. Structural violence, there is caste violence. I mean, it is there. I mean, you know better than I do about it. It is there. It is an issue. But we will have to be strategic about how we combat it. It has to be strategic. It cannot be impulsive. It cannot be eye for eye, tooth for tooth. It has to be far more strategic, and we have to think politically, we have to think ethically, we have to build alliances, we have to build support structures, we have to do a lot more work rather than be very, very impulsive and do eye for eye and tooth for tooth. That is not going to help. That's what I got to know through the experience. Of course, there is anger. Without anger, you don't even get into this politics. The basis of this Dalit issue, bonded labor issue, the basis of it is indignance, anger, cry for justice, and cry for correcting faults that are in democracy. Without these moral compunctions, why are we doing what we are doing? But then how you resolve it, you have to be a little more political and strategic. And you may have allies even in the bureaucracy. You may build allies in the police. You may have allies in the corporate also. We have to think of how to build alliances, how to win over. Let us be strategic about it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you, madam. I think it's a very sound answer. Madhuragar, you raised the hand. You want to say something?
Yeah,
Madhuragar?
yeah, there
Yeah,
was a
please.
reference that there was a discussion where Venkataturiya filed at Shankaran and
Correct.
he, that's practically not true because the last time they met each other was in a cabinet where Channareddy said there is no bonded labor. Shankaran stuck to his observation and experience that there is bonded labor, and he felt it's difficult to work with such a man, and so he applied for leave, and then from there he went away to Delhi, Government of India. I just wanted to give that clarification.
Okay, okay. No, thank you very much for that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes these issues can be dramatized and that. But yeah, he put a strong resentment that was, I think, well documented. And he also went to Northeast, right, Madhuragaru,
Correct,
for a
correct,
few years.
correct,
Yeah, yeah,
correct.
right, right. Okay, thank you for that question, Pushan. And yeah, Vijaya Maharaj, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Vijaya Maraju. I am associated with the Boston Study Group more than 10 years since it was founded. And I would like to sincerely appreciate and thank, the distinguished speakers for today's Ambedkar lecture series. Your insights on this issue of bonded labor were really thought-provoking and have deepened, basically, my understanding of this important social issue. So just I have a question. As a society, what practical steps can we take to help eliminate bonded labor? Beyond government policies, how can communities, social organizations, educational institutions, and individual citizens can contribute to preventing this kind of exploitation and empowering these vulnerable people? Can one of you please shed some light on that?
Yeah, it's a loaded question, but Professor Shanta Sinha, Sangam Chinnayar, Madam, yeah, maybe. Chinnaya, you want to say something? Yeah,
No,
please.
no, I think, I think Madam would be the best person to do it because also Venkat Reddy sir is here and they are on the ground. Basically, one thing is that in my life, I moved out of India for more than 10, 20 years back. But one of the important things about, this activism is that, I think it has to start in community conversations. I think we went to schools because there were concerned teachers, concerned community members, and who actually wanted us. As I said, even my own landlords, for example. I think it is a collective responsibility to end child labor. It is not. That's when the state role is institution building, and bureaucrats or activists, they play a very critical role. But at the end of the day, I think it is people's and education, and also, it is this social, sensitivity and consciousness and conscientiousness, which are very central to this addressing these issues. Even for that matter, caste discrimination, someone pointed out earlier. I think we India, at one level we are talking about supercomputers, and India has a global, Vishwaguru, all these things, but we still suffer from the fundamental aspect of not treating fellow human beings as human beings. And that is a very important, and how inhuman that is, and how, how much backward we are. So that's when it's very important that, we, particularly when we talk to our friends or relatives or anyone, one of the important ways that, we should talk to them and also tell them, what is, what we see, the how the world is. I think it is a collective responsibility of society and communities at large.
Thank you. Madam Shanta Sinha, you want to say something?
I just want to say that we are going through intense crisis today in terms of communal politics. and we have to be aware of it. And it hurts the minorities, it hurts the women, it hurts the Dalits, it hurts the Adivasis. And it is so important that we take up the issue of constitution and constitutional principles as matter of public discourse at every level. And the constitution is not out there as an abstract document. We have to discuss the constitution in terms of relating to our everyday lives. How unequal our society is in our daily experiences, how lack of dignity there is in our daily experiences. We will have to relate our daily lived in experiences to the constitutional values and then ask for rights. There was, of course, one of you did talk about the issue of right. Constitutional principles evolving around rights, and rights means equality, rights means social justice, rights means inclusion. This has to be part of the public debate. And all this, of course, is linked to the issue of bondage and exploitation, oppression, exclusion, discrimination. So I think the basic thing is constitution. The SCR, you see, there are states, governments where there is no BJP. I'm sorry, I'm directly now talking politics to you. We will have to see that once a week, at least in every class from class 1 to class 12, there's a discussion on constitution in school. Why don't we do that? Tomorrow there is, say, August 15th. We will have to celebrate the Independence Day. Why don't we make 1 month of preparation for Independence Day? What Ambedkar said, what Gandhi said, what Nehru said, how people fought for freedom in our own localities, in our own communities. We have no strategy for constitutional principles and values. On the other hand, every village there is an RSS going on saying how Hindutva is important. What are we doing? I think we will have to, this is the voice, we are the agency, the people who are actually first hit only know what the value of constitution is at the moment. Elite don't care for constitution because they got everything. I think we will have to talk about constitution. And Vijay Lakshmi Garu, I'm glad you asked this question. Let us go ahead with talking about constitutional principles every day in our lives without fail.
Thank you.
Yeah. You want to say anything,
No,
Vijay?
I'm good. I want to thank you. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very. Say, Bahujan Cheruvu Garu. I don't know, Banuja. Sorry, Banuja. I'm very sorry. Banuja Cheruvu. Please go ahead. Yeah. Banuja, your question or comment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Namaste, sir.
Yeah. Sorry for saying that.
Okay, sorry, I talk in Telugu.
Sorry, okay, you can talk. We'll translate. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Actually, sir, Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976, excellent SOP, central scheme, చాలా అంటే ఇంట్రెస్ట్ గానే ఉంది. కానీ ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్లో ఉన్న గ్యాప్స్ ని అంటే ఎట్లా చూడాలి అనేది. ఎందుకంటే ప్రాక్టికల్ గా నేను 2006 లో ఒక 25 ఫ్యామిలీస్ రెస్క్యూ చేశాము. సేమ్ మళ్ళీ రీబాండెడ్ 2003 లో అయ్యారు. మరి ఇప్పుడు ఎందుకంటున్నానంటే ఏదైతే ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్ లో కన్వర్జెన్సీ మోడ్ లో వెళ్ళాల్సిన ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్ చేయాల్సిన ఆఫీసర్స్ ఆ కన్సర్న్ లేదంటే ఆ సెన్సిటివ్నెస్ లేకపోతే ఇష్యూని ఎట్లా అబాలిషన్ అవుతుంది అనేది అది నిజంగానే చాలా కష్టం అనిపిస్తుంది. తర్వాత ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే బాండెడ్ లేబర్ని రెస్క్యూ చేసి రిలీఫ్ సర్టిఫికేట్ వరకు ఇవ్వగలుగుతున్నాం, కానీ ఎఫ్ఐఆర్ చేయడం కానీ ఫైనల్ జడ్జిమెంట్ వరకు విక్టిమ్ కేర్ అండ్ సపోర్ట్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది మిస్ అవుతుంది. దాన్ని ఎట్లా తీసుకురావాలి అనేది ప్రాక్టికల్ గా కొంత ఇష్యూస్ ని ఫేస్ చేసిన అనుభవంతో చెప్తున్నాను సార్. ఎందుకంటే 2023లో రెస్క్యూ చేసి రిలీఫ్ సర్టిఫికేట్ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత ఇమీడియట్లీ రిలీఫ్ అందలేదు. ఎఫ్ఐఆర్ చేయమంటే ఒక ఎస్పీ స్థాయి ఆయన నైట్ 11-12 వరకు కూడా అక్కడ ఛాంబర్ దగ్గర ఉంటే, అసలు నీకు బాండెడ్ లేబర్ అంటే అర్థమవుతుందా? ఏమనుకుంటున్నావు నువ్వు? బాండెడ్ లేబర్ అని మాట్లాడచ్చు అసలు ఆ మాట? నీకు అసలు తెలుసా? ఎఫ్ఐఆర్ చేస్తే ఏమవుతావు అక్కడ తెలుసా అంటే, ఇంక ఎఫ్ఐఆర్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయాలి డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ ఆఫీసర్స్ అట్లా అంటుంటే. అంటే నేను
ఇది
ఓపెన్ గా
మేడం
చెప్పగలుగుతున్నాను.
వీళ్ళు వేర్ ఇస్ దిస్ అంటే ఎక్కడ మీరు ఏ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ ఇది అయింది?
అనంతపూర్ సార్, అనంతపూర్.
అండ్ మేడం
ఇంకోటి ఏమంటే సార్ ఒక్క
చెప్పండి.
హ్యాపీనెస్ ఏమంటే మా గంధం చంద్రుడు సార్ లేబర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ లో ఉండడం కూడా మా అదృష్టము. అది ఆ గ్యాప్స్ ని కేర్ అండ్ సపోర్ట్ ని తీసుకురాగలరు సారు. అది దానికోసమని నేను పెట్టాలనుకున్నా. రీసెంట్ గా 3 days బ్యాక్ కూడా ఒక 4 members రీబాండెడ్ వాళ్ళని రెస్క్యూ చేశాము. అది ఇంకా నడుస్తుంది. దీంట్లో అంటే ఈ నోడల్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ అందరు ఇన్వాల్వ్ చేసినా కూడా ఓవరాల్ ఈ కన్వర్జెన్స్ అనేది ఎక్కడో మిస్ అవుతుంది. దాన్ని ఎట్లా తీసుకురావాలనేది ఒక నాకు ఇవన్నీ కన్ఫ్యూజన్స్ లో
ఏ
ఉండి
ఆర్గనైజేషన్ మేడం మీరు పనిచేసేది? ఏ ఆర్గనైజేషన్?
రెడ్స్ సార్, REDS రెడ్స్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్.
Right, okay. So yeah, let me say this in English. So she's asking about the law was made, but I think there are a lot of gaps in implementation. And she's giving an example. I mean, the law says, right, you basically do a relief certification and also they get some monetary compensation and things like that, the rehabilitation part of it. Looks like there are a lot of challenges on the ground, and she recently in 2023 she released a lot of families, and then they went back into again a similar situation. And she's also quoting about a superintendent of police, head of a district. He was when they went to file a FIR, he was saying, do you know what is bonded labor means? Is it easy to file this type of case? So what she's saying is at the implementation level, in the bureaucracy and all that, there are a lot of issues and challenges to really implement the law properly and do the justice to the victims. Okay, so maybe Gandham Chandrudu, brother, you want to say something about it? I know you're on the hot spot because you represent government now. Hello, Chandrudu, brother, is he there? Lost him or what?
He left the session.
Yeah, he left the session.
He left the session. Yeah.
So anybody, Nilegar, you want to answer that question, or you also have a lot of experience, right? Nilegar.
No. That way I think it's always better that we get this kind of answers from the regulators. Since I know the people like Banuja Garu and several other people are working in this area, this is an issue that I think we need to sit with the regulators and work on that. Maybe as she mentioned, Banuja Garu has rightly mentioned, maybe Chandrudu sir is the best person to be approached or officers to be approached in this regard. Let us see what best we can do together in addressing this issue. This is a major issue that we have been facing it, but right now I am not into this. I think the currently most of these people like Banuja Garu, then Sunil Garu and Lalitama Garu, all these people are working, Deva, all these people are working in this area. So I think they are experts in this. Still, as she raised this issue, I think this is one issue that I will also try to contact people and see what best we can do in this regard. Thank you, Venkat. Now we have Venkat, we have certain senior persons like Koribinay Kumar, though it is time, but like people like without people like Koribinay Kumar Garu and anyway, Banuja Garu has already spoken, Lalitama Garu, Lavanya. Some of these, when we have Professor Moni from Delhi, these people at least need to be given 2 to 3 minutes time.
Just let's open up. Professor Moni, you want to say?
Vinayana,
Yeah.
hello.
Because
Vinayana, Mirunarana.
Yeah.
Hello. Vinay Kumar sir.
Vinay Kumar, let me check.
Sorry, Vinay Kumar, he was there. I just saw him.
Yeah, Vinay Garu is here.
I wish that we missed him.
Professor Moni, you want to say?
Professor Moni, yeah.
He's
Vinay
not
Kumar
there.
is also
Moni
there.
left, I think. That's
Vinay Kumar Garu,
Venkat, you have to choose the option of ask to unmute. Then only they can unmute, I believe.
Then I know, but I am also not seeing their names. Only Kori Vinay Kumar is
There.
let me. Oh, you have to ask unmute. Yes. Ask unmute. Yeah. You can unmute now, Vinay Kumar garu. Try that.
Vinay, unmute చేసుకున్నా.
I think okay.
Yeah,
now he's unmuted. You can speak, Vinay Kumar garu.
అన్నా వినిపిస్తుందా?
Yes.
వినిపిస్తుందా?
Right, fine.
Vinay garu, speak in
Anna,
English
good
if
evening.
you can, please. Because we
Okay.
have so many non.
Can I speak?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
This is Vinay Kumar from Andhra Pradesh. Presently, I'm in Delhi. Just I'm hearing every speaker voice and other interpretations also. In my understanding, the broader perspective of the bonded labor is not only the earlier parameters. Now it will be changed in the present context, post-globalization era. The new labor laws and the new systems are working in the different perspectives. I think, hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear. వినబడుతుందండి. మీరు మాట్లాడండి.
Okay, right. In this context, we will think over the broader perspective of the bonded labor. Nowadays, modern bonded labor is existing in the agriculture sector. Now the tenant farmers are likely as a bonded labor they are working, and also in the contract labor system, contract and outsourcing, whether either in the government sector and in the private sector also. You can also see in the municipal administration also there is a lot of the departments, government departments are either in contract system or outsourcing system. These are all coming under the, they are not paying the equal wage, they are not giving the respect, they are not taking insecure their lives. And this, what is my understanding, by previous experience, all these things, caste system, caste institutions are reinterpreted into the new model of exploiting and treated them as inferior to the their actual, they studied well, they are experienced, but they are submissively, insecurely they are working under the any hegemonic institution in the education sector or in the productive sector or in the service sector. All these sectors are. My understanding is not only earlier child labor or bonded labor are only the bonded labors, but nowadays new bonded labor system is evolved. Earlier one Santosena madam is told every child is a bonded labor, like that. Every agriculture sector farmer, now the farmers, the redefining the name of the farmer is a cultivator. Absentee landlords are taking place in the coastal area and other urban areas also, in semi-urban areas also. Now these agricultural absentee landlordism created a new form of bonded labor. They are now cultivators. Those are the tenant farmers. The tenant farmers are becoming today, they are the bond, like they are not getting Raitu Bharosa, they are not getting crop loans, they are not getting bank loans, they are not getting any insurance. All the calamities happen, everything go to the landlords. So the new exploitative system utilizing the government welfare program to the farmers, in the name of farmers, landlords are getting the every benefit, but these people are getting. So there is a lot of data, suicides of the tenant farmers, their lives are very struggling. So in the migration, interstate migration, interdistrict migration, there is also taking the place. Migrant labor also is also part of this new modern slavery, modern bonded labor system. So there are a number of incidents taking place in the villages. Single women are increasing. The young women are engaged in the hazard works, and also they are attracted to the liquor and all these things. The woman also, if a single woman is also become a modern bonded labor, like that. There are daring all these things. What I am drawing from all these experience and exposures, caste system is a multi-dimensional oppressive, exploitative character is operating. The character is changing like a octopus, time to time, time to time, time to time. The Indian caste system is operating in a variety of times. They are changing the character and the form and the character and form. They are changing the essence and the form is also changing. So my understanding is nowadays modern uh, modern bonded labor system is existing because of the caste system is existing. Caste system is modernly it is operating. So our target is how to destroy the caste system. Without destroying the caste system, you can't destroy the bonded labor system. The caste system is nothing but a patriarchy. It is nothing but a labor centric. It is nothing but a laborer division. It is nothing but a discrimination, caste discrimination. It is nothing but a exploitation. Like many elements are there in the caste system. For this reason only, with Ambedkar perspective, how can redefine, how to redefine bonded labor, modern bonded labor system? How can we fight with a caste system? Without fighting with caste system, we can fight with the quote unquote institutional framework. We can't do it. Is a culturally we can put our mind cultural changes and what one person is told, conversation with the communities, conversation with the exploitative communities, mobilizing, empowering the communities. Most of the programming is very important to the victim communities and the exploitative communities, and the caste hierarchy and the political advocacy at the political system and the advocacy at the in regulating mechanisms also. We have a lot of work to be done, how to eradicate the caste system in the regular way of life to liberate from this caste system. It is only nothing but a mechanical. It is also spiritual. It is a ideologically. It is what is the Marx said, you struggle for the breaking of the chains. But in our Indian culture, Indian ideology, Indian karma siddhantamu is defined and designed for the brain chains. It is a brain chains.
Vinay garu,
Brain chains is nothing but
Vinay garu,
it is nothing but
please
the.
conclude.
Vinayana.
We have
No, sir, I'm
Yeah.
concluding. So,
yeah,
for
please.
that reason only, we
Yeah.
will take the advantage of the Ambedkar's ideology into a right framework. This is my understanding. Kindly understand, kindly excuse me for any extra
No
and extra
excusing.
time
You said
and
it.
extra intervention also.
Yeah. No,
Thank you so
Anand.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
have two
Just
women leaders.
Nilegar, 1 second. Ravi Palgar, you have any quick comment or because you all in the Ravi Palgar, you raised your hand. Right?
Yeah, I would like to answer Vijay Lakshmi Maroju, what she was talking about. There was a law in 1976 of abolition of bonded labor system, but still there are a lot of gaps. Still, we don't see a proper implementation and accurate, successful of this act. I can say this is what we experience with working with MNCs and different organizations. If there is a collaboration with all the NGOs coming together, bureaucrats coming together, and all the communities doing a consolidated work, a teamwork, I can say a group effort will definitely bring 100% results, and will be able to achieve what is uh, the main purpose of the abolition of 1976. So a single organization cannot do it, or one bureaucrat cannot do it, but it's a team effort. So someone should form a team, or all the concerned departments coming together, and as a collective effort, I think we can bring an end to this evil that is still prevailing in the society. Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you. So I think it's 12:30 p.m. in the US Eastern time, and it's 10 p.m. I think. So we'll conclude. I think Neela has one final comments you want to say, Neela Garu. please, and
Yeah,
conclude.
I mean, we have very 2 minutes time
Yeah, please go
for
ahead.
two of
Yeah.
our women leaders. One Lavanya from Navajeevan and Ford Organization Lalitamma garu. Lalitamma garu మీరు ఉన్నారమ్మా? Lalitamma? Now Lavanya? Hello?
I think
Lavanya?
I think they're not there.
Lavanya is here, but I think she has to
No,
unmute.
Lavanya Garu is not there.
She's raising her hand.
was there earlier. No, she's also not there. I think it's
Lavanya is
getting
raising
late.
her hand.
It's okay, Nile Garu. We should maybe, I think you
Okay.
want to conclude because you are the.
Yeah, I'll just conclude. And
Please
thank you, Dr. Venkat, and
Hello.
all the team. Hello, Lavanya, you're there?
Yes, uncle, but I was unable to unmute myself earlier.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah. Please go ahead, Lavanya. You want to.
Go ahead, Lavanya.
Okay. Thank
Lavanya.
you so much. Thank you so much, and good evening to all. I thank the organizers for bringing us together to discuss this bonded labor in India 50 years after its abolition. Although bonded labor was legally abolished decades ago, many vulnerable people continue to face exploitation due to poverty, indebtedness, lack of livelihood opportunities, migration, and social inequalities. While the forms may have changed, but the underlying vulnerabilities remain same. For me, this issue is not only the professional thing, but also personal. My grandfather was a bonded labor. When my father wanted to continue his education after fifth standard, he went to that landlord where my grandfather was working for 10 rupees to join in the sixth standard. That landlord, in spite of giving 10 rupees, he just disgraced my father and asking why education is needed for you. What will you do after this education? Come and join as a daily wage labor instead, and you can support your family. But my father was totally disappointed with his words. But after disappointment also, he just not criticized or depressed. He just think what are the alternatives, and he just ran back to the home. And my grandma was growing some chicks. He just sold one of the chick, and he got 10 rupees, and he has joined in the sixth standard. So now he has become the founder. So today
Final గా ఏమైనా అయిందా లేదా?
he works to support vulnerable communities and promote dignity,
Just a minute.
education,
We have to
and sustainable livelihood. This experience taught us an important lesson that freedom from bonded labor is not achieved through legislation alone. It requires access to education.
Oh, did we unmute? Oh.
Thank you, ma.
No.
Thank you.
She was unmuted. No, sorry, by mistake. Go ahead, Lavanya. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry. Go
And
ahead.
Okay,
Please.
and this experience taught an important lesson for us. And freedom from bonded labor is not only achieved through legislation alone, it requires access to education, economic opportunities, social protection, and community empowerment. Through our work at Navjeevan organization, we have seen that vulnerable workers, migrant families, sanitation workers, and waste pickers, women, and other marginalized groups continue to face the condition that can increase the risk of exploitation. Therefore, prevention is just as important as rehabilitation. As we reflect to 50 years since abolition, we must strengthen collaboration among government, civil society organizations, academic institutions, and communities. Together, we can create pathways to dignified livelihoods and ensure that no person is trapped in a cycle of poverty and exploitation. Thank you. Thank you so much, and JB.
Thank you very much, Lavanya. Okay, then I think we should conclude now. Nilegar, please say last words and yeah.
Thank you, Venkat, for giving this
No, it's a
opportunity.
Boston study group we have done, so it's not Venkat.
Boston study group and all the civil society organizations who have participated and the speakers, panel members. Thank you so much. And we will continue these kind of deliberations in collaboration with Boston study group based on their interest and their timings. Thank you so much for everybody who has participated. Look forward to joining in some of these kind of sessions again and again, which has got a lot of social importance. Thanks once again.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye,
all
Venkat.
for joining. And I also want to thank you, our speakers, Shanta Sinha garu, Madhavarav garu, Chandrudu, Jangam Chinna garu. Thank you all. Jai Bhim. Okay? Jai Bhim.
Jai Bhim.